What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-fade on my boy, so stay tuned. We're gonna be starting off by creating our first guideline, contouring to his head shape with our Gold FX. Man, guys, the reason why I haven't been uploading as frequently is because I lost my voice and I'm waiting on it to recover. It is slowly recovering, it's getting better, but it hasn't fully recovered yet. I'ma still, of course, try my best to daily upload as much as possible and stay as consistent as possible. Don't be afraid to stretch the skin with your opposite hand and move the ear out of the way if necessary. Before we create our second guideline, we're going to go ahead and debulk the sides with the 3 guard all the way open. We're also going to use the comb to feed the hair into the clipper. Now that we're done debulking the sides, we could go ahead and create our second guideline with our no guard all the way open. You usually want to make this guideline around 1 inch thick so you can spread the blend. We're then going to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some support and keep the channel running, go ahead and leave a donation down below or super thanks down below, or also go ahead and follow the Instagram down below. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our 1 guard all the way open and create our third guideline. We're then going to use this same guard and its lever to soften up this line and get ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to our half guard and erase the line completely. Always remember, when you're blending between guidelines, you always want to use your lever and your corners of the blade. Also, don't be afraid to use your opposite hand to stretch the skin and move the ear out of the way. Now that we're done with the lower guards, we can move on to our 2 guard all the way open and create our 4th guideline. This guideline is going to help us switch over to our 1.5 guard and blend in between the lines. Now that we're done setting up the guideline and then softening it, we can move on to our 1.5 guard and erasing completely. Sometimes after using your 1.5 guard, there's still a faint line, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help erase it. Now we're moving on to our clipper over comb method, and we're going to make sure the hair is a little bit damp so it's easier to pick up with the comb. When using your clipper over comb, when you're using horizontal cuts, it's to debulk, and when you're using horizontal cuts, it's to blend, as you guys can see here. I'm also keeping the comb at a certain degree and a certain tilt, just to make sure it blends properly. Make sure to keep the angle consistent and try not to change it too much. Now we're going back to our previous guards to lighten up a few spots. When there's a lot of hair when you're doing your clipper over comb method, you always want to start off by debulking and then start blending. Now that we're done debulking with our horizontal cuts, we can begin blending with our vertical cuts. Now we're going to be attacking the darkness near the edge of the haircut with our 1 guard all the way open and our 1.5 guard. Using our clipper over comb method, we're going to go ahead and lighten up the front ridge area. Moving on to our gold FX, we're going to go ahead and line up the front line and start off at the edge. We want to keep the corners and vertical bars as natural as possible. We don't want to take it in too deep. Moving on to C-cups, we're going to use the corner of the blade to start off at the bottom and work our way to the top arch. Now that we're done lining up the C-cup, it revealed a few dark lines in the fade, so I'm going over my clipper over comb and I'm detailing as much as possible. Now that we're done with the sides, we can move on to the back and start off with our no guard all the way open. We're then going to slightly close the lever midway and all the way close and attack that initial guideline. We are right underneath the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you spend more time here and are careful. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to our one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. As you guys can see, the hair was pretty long, so I had to use the comb to feed the hair into the clipper. Now we're right on top of the occipital bone, so you definitely want to make sure you detail. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can move on to our two guard all the way open and create our fourth guideline. As you guys can see, I'm feeding the hair into the clipper using the comb. This guard is going to help us blend in with our 1.5 guard all the way open. Now that the line is soft enough, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and erase the line completely. Again, sometimes there's still a faint line after using your 1.5 guard, so switching over to your one guard all the way open and using its corners would definitely help. Now that we're done with our guard work, we can move on to our clipper oval comb method and debulk as much as possible. We're also going to create and finish off our silhouette. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you guys want to show some extra support, go ahead and hit up the Instagram. Now that we're done with the back side of the fade, we can move on to the other side of the hairline and pin up the hair. When you're using your trimmers to line up, you want to make sure you go slow enough that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer, because if not, then the hair is going to shift and then you won't line them up properly. Now that we're done with the front line, we can move on to our shear work and create our first guideline through the top of the capitus. We're then going to connect this same guideline throughout the whole head and the sides.